Chapter 47. Hinata was returning from the training grounds as she finished her senjutsu training for the day. She was happy that she completed one of her new techniques that she was almost skipping through the road. A pair of white eyes followed Hinata from far away, the Byakugan blazing at full power as this Hyuga shinobi tracked Hinata's movements down the road. The shinobi adorned a white silk kimono as he jumped from rooftop to rooftop, concealing himself in the shadows. He decided to keep his distance as to not being either spotted or sensed. His eyes allowed him to track Hinata's path from far away. His eyes widened when he saw Hinata arrive near Naruto, who seemed to be otherwise occupied. The shinobi kept to himself and simply observed the events unfold. "I hate you, Senju Naruto," Hinata yelled, running away with tears streaming down her face. This white-eyed shinobi couldn't believe what he had seen. Hyuga Hinata had caught her supposed boyfriend with another girl and it ended badly for Naruto. Hayashi-sama will want to know about this, the Hyuga shinobi thought to himself before sinking into the shadows and disappearing completely from view. Hashtag with Naruto hashtag. D-damned, Naruto replied as he pushed the debris of the wall away. Naruto coughed as he got up and cleaned his clothes from the dust. "Is he gone?" Naruto asked towards the girl that was curled up in the corner. Said girl got up like nothing had happened and simply nodded. "You know," Naruto started getting the attention of the unknown girl. "You look good in blonde," Naruto replied and watched the girl do a spin with her hair flowing in the wind. "Though your clone could have been gentler with my face," Naruto replied, nursing his now bruised cheek. "Poor baby," the girl said as she poofed in smoke to reveal the smiling face of Hyuga Hinata. "Let me make it up to you," Hinata said and very softly kissed his now bruised cheek. Naruto got goosebumps when he felt Hinata's soft lips on his cheek. "Better?" Hinata playfully asked. Maybe Naruto half lied and chuckled. "What happened here?" Hana asked as she came through the new door on the wall of the Senju compound. "We set our plan in motion," Naruto replied and Hinata nodded as well. "And did it involve bringing down a wall?" Hana asked, shaking her head. "It's your daughter's fault," Naruto scoffed. "Oh sure, blame me when you were the one that destroyed it," Hinata replied, making Naruto blink. "After you gave me a chakra-empowered slap," Naruto sarcastically replied. "Big babies," Hana thought to herself, chuckling. "I still wonder why you put on the show," Hana said, curious about everything they had planned. "It's simple really," Naruto began. "You know that for us to do anything in the Hyuga clan we need an inside man, so to speak, so the first step is making Hinata a member of the Hyuga clan once again. Hayashi is no fool and he wouldn't simply allow Hinata to go back just because she wanted it, so," Naruto explained and Hana began to catch the big picture. While Hayashi wants Hinata-chan back due to her being strong and somewhat famous, he doesn't want her if she can't be controlled, Naruto explained. "So we put up a little show," Naruto said, smirking. "We knew that sometimes Hinata was followed by a Hyuga member that would later on report to Hayashi, so we just had to wait for the perfect opportunity. Since me and Hinata have now officially broke up, Hayashi will try to comfort her by giving Hinata her family back," Naruto explained and Hana nodded, taking everything in. "We will take this opportunity to take the Hyuga clan by storm and do things that wouldn't be possible for outsiders," Hinata finished and Naruto nodded. "Do you really think you will manage to remove it forever?" Hana softly asked. "We will both," Naruto and Hinata replied in serious and firm voices. "Only the clan head and the elders have the power to stop the cage bird seal from being enforced into the branch members. No one knows how to remove it," Hana sadly replied and both Naruto and Hinata blanked out for a moment. "Didn't you tell her?" Naruto asked towards Hinata, who shrugged his shoulders. "Tell me what?" Hana asked, confused. "Hinata-chan used to have the caged bird seal until I removed it," Naruto asked and Hana turned towards Hinata, shocked. "Why didn't you tell me?" Hana asked. "Sorry, I must have forgotten," Hinata replied, chuckling, making Hana face vault. "You still won't have the power to do it, by legal terms I mean," Hana said, but Hinata shook her head in denial. "There's this law back from the clan's wars time that..." Hinata whispered into Hana's ears, making her eyes widen in disbelief. "Really?" Hana asked and Hinata quickly nodded, bringing a small smile to Hana's face. "You just wait. Our family will be whole in just a few days," Hinata replied and hugged Hana as a few tears ran down her face. "Thank you, Hina-chan," Hana replied, hugging her daughter. "Let's go home, Naruto-kun," Hinata replied and all three of them began walking home. "How long will your clone last?" Naruto asked. "I pumped him good with chakra. He should last a few days and in the meantime I'll replace him when it's time," Hinata replied. Hashtag with Hayashi hashtag. Hayashi was calmly walking through the dimming streets of Konoha. The sun was going down and Konoha began to shut down. Hayashi was walking with back straight, his head up and with a stoic look on his face as he looked towards the horizon. He had both hands on the opposing's arm sleeve. To his side was walking Hyuga Hanabi, his younger daughter and sister of Hyuga Hinata. Hanabi was forced to walk like her father, like Konoha should be honored of them living there. Hanabi's face was cold and completely emotionless, she had a face that mirrored her father's to the last detail. Hayashi-sama, the main branch shinobi that was tailing Hinata, landed on the ground, kneeling before Hayashi. "I have news," the shinobi informed. "You may rise," Hayashi replied and watched as the Hyuga member rose and locked eyes with his clan head. "What news do you have, Yasushi?" Hayashi asked. "It appears the Naruto-sama has betrayed Hinata-sama with another woman," Yasushi answered, and Hanabi was shocked. Though Hayashi was completely surprised and bewildered by such turn of events, his face portrayed none of those emotions. "Are you certain?" Hayashi asked and Yasushi simply nodded. "I see," Hayashi simply replied, taking everything in. "Where is she?" Hayashi asked. "I do not know, Hayashi-sama," Yasushi replied and gulped when he heard Hayashi let out a sigh. "She ran away from the scene in tears after finding Naruto-sama with another girl," Yasushi informed, and Hayashi nodded. "You may go," Hayashi replied. "Aren't you going to help her?" Hanabi slowly asked, looking up towards her father. "Of course I will, she is my beloved daughter after all," Hayashi replied, smiling. "But let's give her a few hours so that the betrayal may properly sink in," Hayashi thought to himself and kept walking with his daughter in tow. Few hours later, with Hinata's clone ##. Hinata had tired out from running and simply walked into an alley and sat down. She only looked at the ground, her face was filled with dried tears. She had a hollow look that could spook anyone. "What you want?" Hinata asked without looking towards the newcomer. She didn't have to, she knew his chakra all too well. "I only wish to help you," Hinata, Hayashi replied, and almost took a step back when Hinata raised her head and looked at him with those white dead eyes. It was like all the life had drained from her. Her eyes were white and plain, like there was nothing left. "What can you do?" Hinata replied as he looked back to the floor. She was curled up in a ball with her arms around her knees. "He never wanted you," Hinata, Hayashi began, and Hinata flinched when Hayashi mentioned him. "He only used you to shield himself from his pain and loneliness, and now that he's famous he doesn't need you anymore," Hayashi explained, and Hinata scoffed. "Like you are any different," Hinata replied, getting up. "You expelled me from your clan, your own daughter," Hinata said, with the last part being just above a whisper. "It was a mistake I deeply regret and one I intended to fix," Hayashi added. "Take my hand and let me take you home, your real home," Hayashi said, extending his arm forward. Hinata bit her lip as she hesitated. "I have nothing left," Hinata said slowly and took Hayashi's hand. Hayashi smiled and brought his arm over her shoulder, leading her to the Hyuga compound to where she belonged. #Hyuga compound ##. Both father and daughter arrived at the Hyuga compound and were immediately greeted by the two gate guards. "Was that Hinata-sama?" one of the guards asked while the other could only nod. "She was. It's been years since I saw little Hinata," the other guard said. "I feel some changes are coming," the guard explained while his partner could only nod. Both guards belonged to the branch house and like everyone else in there, they were waiting for their hero. It was quite a sight for everyone in the Hyuga compound. Hayashi was walking with his head high and everyone's surprise, his daughter and the rightful heir to the clan head position Hyuga Hinata was walking next to him with an equal emotionless face. "Excellent," Hayashi thought to himself, surprised by Hinata's behavior. "She's putting up her emotionless mask to hide the pain of Naruto's betrayal. She will do a fine clan leader in the future," Hayashi thought to himself, proud of his accomplishments. Hinata Niji called out, surprised to see his cousin in the compound and much less in the company of her father. "Did I say you could treat me as such?" Hinata calmly asked, turning towards Niji, who flinched at her gaze that promised pain. "My apologies, Hinata-sama," Niji quickly replied, slightly bowing his head. "What is going on?" Niji thought, completely confused by the turn of events. "Nei-chan, sister," Hanabi yelled as she ran towards her sister and hugged her as much as she could. "Hanabi," Hayashi said, and Hanabi squirmed under Hayashi's stern gaze. "Such behavior is unfit for a Hyuga member," Hayashi coldly said, and Hanabi slowly nodded before detaching herself from Hinata and taking her place at Hayashi's left. "Nei-chan, is it true what happened with Naruto?" Hanabi slowly asked, and Hinata turned her emotionless face towards her little sister. "Yes," Hinata simply replied. "Senju-sama has decided to indulge himself on other pleasures of the flesh," Hinata coldly replied. Hanabi asked, blinking, not really getting what she was saying. He cheated on me with another woman, Hinata replied in layman's terms, making Hanabi flinch at her dismissive tone. So it was true, Hanabi mumbled to herself. I always thought those two be inseparable, Hanabi thought as everyone arrived to the dining table. After everyone had sat down, Hayashi rose again to make an announcement. As of today my lost daughter is returned to us, Hayashi said as Hinata rose and stood next to her father. Let's us welcome back Hyuga Hinata to our family, Hayashi said, and everyone agreed. ### Few days later, Hokage's office ##. Tsunade could only shake her head in disappointment as she stared at both Hayashi and Hinata. Do you really wish for this, Hinata-chan? Tsunade rhetorically asked. Even if my grandson betrayed you, you are still my apprentice and heir, Tsunade explained as she tried to be there for the girl. I am certain, Tsunade-sensei, Hinata coldly replied. Swoosh. There was a swirling sound as Naruto arrived at the Hokage's office. Hey bod Naruto was saying but quickly stopped when he noticed the presence of Hayashi and Hinata on the office as well. Hinata-chan, can we talk? Naruto slowly asked. You have no right addressing me in such manner, Senju-sama, Hinata coldly replied, and Naruto sighed. Leave us, Hayashi said towards Naruto, but Hinata interrupted him. Let him stay. I want him to know what will happen, Hinata said, and Hayashi nodded, forwarding the paper to Tsunade. You are an idiot, Naruto. You threw away a wonderful girl, Tsunade said, shaking her head. Last time I will ask this. Are you certain of this, Hinata? Tsunade asked in a serious voice. In front of her were the papers to readmit Hinata back into the Hyuga clan and, as such, Tsunade would lose most of her authority over her. I am, Hinata replied and watched as both Hayashi and Tsunade signed the papers. Hinata without even hesitating went over and signed her own name, finalizing it. Is it done? Hinata asked and Tsunade nodded. As of now you belong to the Hyuga clan once again, Tsunade replied, smirking for the first time. Hayashi was a bit thrown off by that smirk but ignored it. Finally Naruto yelled loudly with a shit-eating grin. You know how cold the bed was without you? Naruto rhetorically asked as picked up Hinata and spun her in the air. Unhand my daughter, Hayashi coldly said, but was confused when he heard Hinata giggling. Hyuga Hayashi. Hinata began drawing Hayashi attention to her. I, Hyuga Hinata, heir to the Hyuga clan and member of the main house, hereby challenge you for the position of clan head, Hinata replied towards Hayashi, who was drawing blanks. What? Hayashi asked, confused as he tried to process everything. Did little Hayashi get a brain freeze? Naruto mockingly asked. I said that I'm challenging you for the place of clan head, Hinata replied, looking at her father in the eyes. You set this up, didn't you? Hayashi asked, narrowing his eyes at the laughing couple. You really thought I would betray my princess? Naruto asked, shaking his head in amusement. Looks like you don't know me at all. Your spy didn't even realize that the girl I was kissing was just a transformation of the real Hinata, the other was simply a shadow clone, Naruto said, chuckling while Hayashi had his eyes widened at the fact his spy was discovered. I thought about asking Foot to take her place as a favor since we weren't sure if this transformation would fool your little spy, but it looks like the Byakugan isn't all-seeing after all, Naruto explained while Hayashi was trying his best to contain his rage at being mocked and double-crossed. Enough playing around, Hinata replied, breaking their argument and stepping in front of her father. I challenge you for the clan head's position, Hinata said one last time. Why would I even consider making you clan head since I'm aware of this betrayal? Hayashi asked, cringing his teeth together. Because as of 5 minutes I belong to the Hyuga clan and one of the laws clearly states that any member of the Hyuga clan may challenge the current clan head for his position, Hinata replied, smiling while Hayashi's eyes widened in realization. This law is from the era of the clan wars and it was created to ensure a strong leadership inside the Hyuga clan. Weren't you the one that was always pushing me to learn about laws and politics? Hinata mockingly asked. For what possible reason could you want my position? Hayashi asked. Isn't it obvious? Hinata rhetorically asked. I thought you knew me better, father. One of my dreams was always to abolish the caged bird seal and unite both families, Hinata explained, and Hayashi couldn't believe it. Everything was coming down on him. If she destroyed the caged bird seal it would be the end for the main branch's luxuries. I refuse, Hayashi quickly replied. You can't refuse, father. The law also states that all challenges are to be accepted. Should the clan head refuse the challenge, his position is to be terminated immediately and a new worthy clan head chosen. Should the clan head be unable to fight, a period of recovery or preparation may be granted, Hinata explained, and Hayashi could stutter as Hinata quoted the law word by word. You see, father? I know my way around politics just fine. Hinata smiled and Naruto beamed as his girlfriend laid it down on her father. You forget you are under my orders and I could very well place the caged bird seal on you, Hayashi replied smirking. You are wrong once again, Hinata replied, making Hayashi narrow his eyes. You already broke that particular law once. The caged bird seal may never be applied to the firstborn of the main branch, Hinata explained, and Hayashi scoffed. I could always apply it to Hanabi, Hayashi smirked. You could, but when I defeat you in combat and rise to the position of clan head, Naruto-kun would simply remove it, like he will do to every branch member. I will see you tomorrow at dawn in the Hyuga's main hall for our battle, Hinata explained, and Hayashi scoffed, storming out of the room. That went well, Tsunade said while Hinata nodded. I could swear I saw a vein pop out of his neck, Naruto chuckled. It will do him good to be brought down a few pegs, Tsunade said laughing. He had a stick up his ass that would put some uchihas to shame, Tsunade said, and Naruto chuckled. Let's go home. I want my pillow back, Hinata said, grabbing Naruto by the arm and dragging him home. ### later that day, Hyuga compound ###. You are a fool, Hayashi, one of the elders, complained the current clan head's position. Hayashi was sitting in front of the 5 elders of the Hyuga clan. They all belonged to the main branch and, of course, they were all long past their primes. Hayashi himself still didn't know why they held such position in the clan, and even he knew that he alone couldn't not overthrow the 5 of them. I was tricked to my everlasting shame, Hayashi shamefully replied with his head down. He had been tricked by a couple of teenagers, although the fault didn't rest entirely on him. The supposed spy also got his fair share of punishment. What do you intend to do, Hayashi? Another elder asked, making Hayashi raise his head. You may be strong, but no one in the whole clan can take down an S-rank shinobi, the elder replied. I know very well my skill level doesn't match that of my daughters if the bingo book records are anything to go by, Hayashi sighed, thinking what he could do to keep his position as clan head. I have no delusions about my strengths. I am a mid-A ranked shinobi at best, and the bingo book says that Hinata is high Kage level, not to mention she is a splendid doctor, trained by the current Hokage herself, Hayashi explained, and the elders nodded with one simply chuckling, making Hayashi look at him funny. The S-rank is not simply given to anyone, Hayashi. I have fought a couple of S-ranked shinobi through my career and you have no idea the extent of their power. This rank is special and not everyone can achieve it. S-ranked shinobi are masters of every field and extremely valuable to a village, Hayashi's father began explaining. They are also known as army killers. Their abilities are sometimes so far out of reach that they can decimate entire armies of enemies with a single technique. Their chakra levels can sometimes reach Bija levels. You know very well the power that all of our previous Hokages had. Each Hokage alone could face an entire army and come out victorious, the elder explained. Look at the Shodame Hokage, Senju Hashirama. He alone faced and took down almost 3,000 shinobi back during the First Shinobi War, and he wasn't defeated by any of them. If it wasn't for the injuries he suffered against his battle with Madara, he wouldn't have succumbed to chakra depletion after fighting them for almost 3 days. Then came his brother, the Nidaime Hokage, Senju Tobarama. He alone forced back the Kinkaku force, 20 of Kumogakure's elite shinobi, and among them 3 S-ranked shinobi. Tobarama died, but the Kinkaku force returned to Kumo with 3 men left. Skipping the Sandaime Hokage, who was also strong in his own right, came the strongest and perhaps the scariest of them all, Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage, the elder explained, and did a double back. Or should I say Uchiha Minato, son of one of the strongest shinobi to ever live, Uchiha Madara, the Enten no Madara, Madara of the Inferno style. You weren't there when Minato decimated the IWA army using his Hiroshin technique, the elder explained. You should have seen it, Hayashi, the elder said, reminiscing about the battle. It was a beautiful show of death. An entire army of almost 1,000 shinobi fell in mere seconds. The few that he spared ran for their lives like they had seen death itself. Even we, the Hyugas, and the Uchiha Sharingan caught nothing of his speed. No one saw nothing but glimpses of this yellow light. It didn't matter what rank they had, if they were strong or weak, innocent or guilty, genin or jounin, every single shinobi fell before his might. Even Inoki's own son, an S-ranked shinobi capable of using dust release like his father and on par with him, the elder said as he released a dry laugh. Iwa's strongest shinobi besides his father, before he could even blink, he caught a kunai to the throat not even 1 second before Minato began his onslaught. You should have seen his days as Hokage. Even though he was young, no one dared to question his authority or power. His cold blue eyes and aura alone were enough to put the council in their rightful place, the elder explained. To think he was an Uchiha and the son of Madara himself, the elder said, shaking his head in disbelief. Look at him, Hayashi. Minato was a monster and legend on his own right, and he never used his Sharingan. Could you picture his power if he developed his eyes like a normal uchiha would? And then came the Kyuubi. No other person was ever able to fight a bijou until Minato came along. Hashirama could only suppress their chakra with his Mokuton. You read the reports of the events that happened that night. He teleported a tailed beast ball that would destroy the Hokage mountain, and he teleported himself and the Kyuubi itself away from the village. He teleported a bijou Hayashi, a bijou the elder warned. Wyu Hayashi stuttered for the first time. You are afraid of his son, Hayashi stated in complete shock. He never saw his father in this state, he never showed any emotion, much less fear of all of them. I'm not afraid of his son, the elder quickly explained before frowning. I'm afraid of your daughter, the elder said, and Hayashi blinked, not believing what he had heard. She may be strong, but not that strong, Hayashi wondered out loud. You are taking her too lightly, Hayashi, the elder said, gritting his teeth. You don't understand the gravity of the situation. For instance, look at the Uchiha clan. They never had an S-rank shinobi before Itachi, and when they did, look what happened. Itachi unlocked the Manjikyu and alone decimated his whole clan in a single night, the elder explained. The point is that there has never been an S-ranked shinobi in the Hyuga clan. Only Kami knows what powers Hinata may have and how far her eyes may have advanced. An S-ranked doesn't simply use others' techniques, a true S-ranked shinobi creates their own weapons and they alone wield them to their greatest extent, the elder finished his lecture. You think that Hinata advanced her eyes into another unknown stage, is that it? Hayashi asked in confusion, but his father shook his head. There is no other stage, that much I am certain. We have used the Jukin Taijutsu style together with the Byakugan for centuries. My concern lies with other techniques for the Byakugan. You saw her style at the Chunin exams, her speed, her strength, her form, perfect in every sense of the word even by our standards. The elder explained. I failed to see the point, Hayashi replied. Do you really think she still stood idle and hasn't advanced her Byakugan? The elder asked, and Hayashi's eyes lighted in realization. He too did nothing more than stay in shape after achieving the rank of master at the Jukin, but he knew his daughter wouldn't stay put and let her skills dull. I see you understand, the elder said, and Hayashi nodded. What can I do? Hayashi asked, troubled by the facts. You can forget about defeating her in a straight-up battle, the elder simply said, and Hayashi made no comment to refute his claims. This is what you will do. And so Hayashi and the elders planned their move to make sure their leadership would not fall. Next morning, Hyuga compound, It was a beautiful new day as the sun was just coming up at the horizon. It was still early in the day, but at the Hyuga compound every single member was rushing through the halls. Today was a very special day, after all is not every day that the current clan head is challenged for their position, and by their own daughter, no less. The branch house all had their hopes up that Hinata would win. Hinata had always been a kind person and understanding of their position. She never once used the seal on them and never treated any one of them like the slaves most main house members thought them to be. The main training ground of the Hyuga compound was surrounded by strong and sturdy stone walls about 7 feet tall. The training ground was nothing but plain rocky grounds with a single tree standing at the edge of them. By the tree stood a small lake with crystal clear water that glistened as the sun came up in the sky. All around the training ground stood the entirety of the Hyuga clan, at least all those that weren't on missions or busy with other duties. To the left side stood the branch house. Their looks filled with expectation seeing the prodigal return of Hyuga Hinata. To the right side stood the main house. All of them had impassive gazes, but beneath that, anyone could feel their apprehension. It's not every day that the strongest shinobi of the Hyuga clan is challenged to a battle, and one that held a big prize for the victor. Such prize was the position of clan head, and such position could not be taken from the victor, unless the victor was later on defeated as well. Next to the main house, hidden almost from view, were the 5 elders sitting down on some pillows. In fact, they were the only members sitting down and they held a quite good position to watch the match that would ensue in just a few moments. In the middle of the arena we could find one of the main persons of this event. Hyuga Hayashi was sitting in the middle of the training ground in lotus position with his back perfectly aligned. His legs were crossed with his feet placed on the opposing thighs and each hand resting effortlessly on each knee. Hayashi took several deep breaths as he relaxed in his meditating state. A small wind rustled around him as he released his breath and his chakra flared ever so slightly. Meditating is one of many methods of training chakra control, improving your reflexes, but most importantly, to be able to focus on the task at hand. Meditating teaches one patience, calm and concentration. Hayashi slowly opened his eyes as a familiar swirling sound could be heard echoing around the training ground. The air was swirling in the middle of the training ground as 3 figures appeared out of thin air. The first one was obviously his adversary and his daughter no less. Hyuga Hinata was the first person to arrive at the battlegrounds. Instead of the usual samurai-like armor she used to wear when out on missions with this dragon group he heard about, she now had different clothes. She was wearing an attire comprised of a loose-fitting, long-sleeved, dark blue and white zip-up jacket with dark blue over mesh armor with black pants and black, low-heeled sandals. On the back of her zip-up jacket, she had the symbol for yin and yang. She also had her long hair tied with a small white ribbon at the end. /N, check profile for picture. Hayashi also wore appropriate attire comprised solely of a white silk kimono. Hayashi was an expert at taijutsu, so he needed to be flexible, and this attire would suffice him rather well. Mesh armor was useless against Jukin strikes, so that would only slow him down, and he needed any advantage he could get. The swirling came to an end as both Hokage and her grandson stood there, standing side by side with Hinata in the middle looking straight at her father. Her face was one that spoke of strength and confidence. Hayashi got goosebumps when he locked eyes with her and remembered his father's words the previous night. This matter pertains exclusively to the Hyuga clan. You have no right being here, Hokage-sama, one of the elders said as politely as he could without insulting Tsunade. While that would be true, Hyuga Hinata is my apprentice and, as such, I have every right to be here, Tsunade explained, and the elder frowned as she was right. The master did have some rights over their apprentices. My apologies, the elder apologized before turning to Naruto. While you may be present, your grandson holds no such right, the elder explained, deceivably smiling. This was the boy that tricked Hayashi into this position. Are you crazy? Tsunade asked, faking shock. You want me, your Hokage, to stroll down the village alone? Tsunade rhetorically asked with a shocked face, making Naruto chuckle. Leaving the Hokage tower unprotected could be quite dangerous, so Naru-chan is here as my personal bodyguard, Tsunade answered, and the elder scoffed at being outplayed in politics. Naru-chan? Neji smirked towards Naruto, whose eyes twitched. That coming from a guy that dresses like a girl? Naruto replied, glaring at Neji. Why you? Neji asked, getting angry. Cough cough. Neji and Naruto turned to the source of the sound to see both Hinata and Tsunade glaring at them with gazes that promised pain and a lot of it. Both of them cowered behind them and immediately ceased their argument. Hinata quickly scanned her surroundings and noticed that almost everyone was there. If she had to guess, almost 90% of the clan had gathered to watch the battle. Her eyes landed on Hanabi, whose eyes were red with tear-stained cheeks. Hinata's eyes landed on Hanabi's forehead and a familiar green X-style tattoo was made visible, the caged bird seal. I can't believe that bastard went ahead and sealed Hanabi-chan, Hinata thought to herself in disbelief. Her father stood at nothing. But I do wonder why he would do such thing. He knows very well that Naruto-kun can remove it, Hinata wondered to herself as she began to walk forward and watched as Hayashi raised himself from his sitting position. Hinata looked backwards towards her sister and sent her a loving smile. Hanabi managed to get out a small smile before Hinata turned to face her opponent and current clan head of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Hayashi. Both fighters walked until they stood about 16 feet apart. One of the elders slowly rose up from his sitting position and approached the battlegrounds. Hyuga Hinata hereby challenges Hyuga Hayashi for the position of Hyuga clan head. Hyuga Hayashi, do you accept the challenge? The elder called out. I do, Hayashi replied in a firm voice. Very well, the elder said and approached the middle of the battlegrounds, staying exactly in the middle of both fighters, and rose his right arm into the air. Hajime, the elder replied, bringing his arm down in a guillotine-like fashion before jumping away to safety. Hayashi was the first to move and in a split second he had crossed the distance and was at Hinata's face. Hayashi began with a standard move and tried a Jukin strike to Hinata's chest only for her to sidestep and swat his hand away, pushing his right arm away. Hinata took advantage of Hayashi's offensive stance and went for a single Jukin strike to Hayashi's shoulder. Hayashi saw this coming and simply jumped away to gain some distance. The fight had just begun and they were only measuring themselves against their opponents. Neither of them had activated the Byakugan as of yet. Hinata was trying to get a feel for her father. They say that when two high-class shinobi collide they don't need to use words, their fists do all the talking. Both fighters blurred forward as their fists met at middle ground in a resonating strike. Swirls of blue chakra were seen, clear as day as their fists met once again. Hayashi jumped back to gain some distance and quickly rose his arm channeling chakra through it. Hakushu, air palm, a compressed stream of air was unleashed towards Hinata at high speeds. Hinata jumped up and back, flipped midair. She watched as the jutsu passed right beneath her without even touching her. She landed on the ground gracefully before quickly turning around and pointing an arm at Hayashi. Hinata fired the same jutsu, forcing Hayashi to swiftly dodge to the side. Taking advantage of Hayashi's momentary slip at his dodge, Hinata appeared in his face in a burst of speed. Hinata cocked her arm back and slammed her palm in Hayashi's chest. Hinata watched as Hayashi flew backwards and tumbled through the ground. Hayashi regained his balance and wiped a bit of blood from his mouth. Everyone was staring shocked at Hyuga. Hinata, the shy and fragile little girl that was expelled from the clan all those years ago, came back to fight her father and drew first blood out of him with a swift but precise strike. Hayashi regained his bearings and his Byakugan blazed to life. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. He already made one and Hinata had capitalized on it hard. She could have ended the match right there if she so wished. Hayashi dashed forward once again and Hinata braced herself. Hayashi went for a leg sweep, making Hinata jump high up and backwards. As Hinata was still midair, she twisted her body and channeled chakra to her storage seals on her wrists. Several senbon popped out in a small cloud of smoke. Hinata hurled all of the senbon towards Hayashi's joints. Hayashi easily tracked the projectiles with his Byakugan. He simply bent down, placing both hands on the ground and smirked. Doton Doria Taiga, Great Mud River, Hayashi said as the ground beneath Hinata turned into a slippery mud substance. As Hinata landed on the ground, she slipped due to the ground being muddy. Now Hayashi thought to himself as he rushed Hinata to take advantage of her slip. As Hinata slipped to the side, she twisted her body and brought her right fist down. Her fist collided with the ground, breaking the earth and forming a crater. Hayashi tumbled backwards from the shockwave and Hinata quickly regained her bearings. I never expected ninjutsu from you, father. Hinata replied, completely caught off guard by that. The Hyuga clan was known for their strict training regimen and jutsu pool. They relied solely on the Byakugan and their excellent taijutsu style. You should be happy, Hayashi said, getting up and dusting his clothes. I realized that I would not be able to defeat solely with my taijutsu style, so I brushed up on a few ninjutsu last night, Hayashi explained, and Naruto chuckled. Give him the threat of losing his position and that alone forces him to learn earth ninjutsu. Naruto chuckled while all the Hyugas were surprised. Elemental ninjutsu was a big no in the clan and now the clan head himself was displaying it. I was going to focus solely on taijutsu as respect to the clan, but now I see no point in this, Hinata explained. Daihat Kushu, large air palm, Hinata said and pumped her arms with an abnormal amount of chakra. The result was very powerful and fast compressed wind ball that before Hayashi could blink, it was upon him. Hayashi saw no other alternative as it was simply too late to even think about dodging. Kaiten, heavenly spin, Hayashi said as he started spinning and a large blue dome formed around him. The wind ball clashed with Hayashi's ultimate defense and overpowered it, sending Hayashi sailing through the air. Hayashi maneuvered and easily landed on the ground. Hayashi regained his footing and looked around for Hinata. Suddenly he felt something block his sun. Hayashi looked up to see Hinata with her leg raised high up. Sutenkyaku, heavenly foot of pain, Hinata said as she smashed her heel on the ground, breaking the ground and blasting Hayashi away into the air. Hayashi skidded along the floor as he tried to slow down. He was breathing heavily and his clothes had small tears. The dust cleared and Hayashi looked towards Hinata to see her with a determined face. The battlegrounds were completely destroyed and a large crater stood where Hinata had struck. Mizu no Muchi, water whip, Hinata said as she made a single half seal with her right hand. From the nearby lake a single water tentacle formed and before Hayashi could comprehend what happened, the whip attached itself at Hayashi's ankle and spun him around before throwing towards a wall. Hayashi crashed into the wall, making an indentation of his body and fell to the ground. As I suspected, this battle is one-sided, one of the elders and Hayashi's father thought, griping his kimono hard. Hayashi shakily rose from the ground, spatting blood on it. Hayashi took a couple deep breaths before turning to Hinata, who was simply watching him. You should surrender while you are still conscious. I count at least 1 cracked rib and 2 broken. Half of your chakra points are closed and your chakra stores are nearing empty, Hinata said. I will not surrender. I still have a few aces up my sleeve, Hayashi replied before dashing forward. Hinata shook her head in defeat but retook her stance and waited for her father. Hinata watched as her father approached her and suddenly made a tiger hand seal. Ah! Hanabi, Hinata thought as she looked to the side and heard the piercing screams of her little sister. Now Hayashi thought to himself as he was suddenly upon Hinata, who was distracted by her sister. Thumb. Hinata received a direct Juken strike right to her chakra core. She let out a gasp and simply fell backwards to the ground with a single thumb. A small cloud of dust rose as her body collided with the ground. Once a failure, always a failure, Hayashi said as he took deep breaths to regain his breathing. He killed her, Niji stated with shock evident in his face. Everyone in the Hyuga clan was shocked to see that Hayashi would go as far as kill his own daughter. Then again, he already expelled her from the clan when she was a young girl, so this shouldn't come as a surprise. Poof. The Hinata that was on the ground exploded in smoke, making Hayashi do a double take as he was about to leave. Congratulations, father, Hinata said, gritting her teeth as he walked from the middle of the crowd and into the battlegrounds. You defeated my shadow clone, Hinata said with absolute anger. Hayashi dared to hurt her little sister. You mean this whole time I was fighting your clone? Hayashi asked in disbelief. The beginning it was me, but I got bored and replaced myself with a clone halfway through it, Hinata said, shrugging her shoulders and ignoring the shocked faces of everyone. You hurt my little sister and I'm going to make sure you will never hurt anyone else in this family, Hinata said as her Byakugan blazed and she took her stance. Before Hayashi could even blink, Hinata was suddenly at his face with two fingers pressed strongly against his shoulder. Hayashi let out a strained gasp as he felt some foreign chakra enter his system. Arghhhhh, Hayashi screamed as he fell to the ground on his knees. Hinata jumped backwards and watched as Hayashi nursed his right arm. To everyone's shock, including Naruto and Tsunade, Hayashi's right arm started turning gray, starting at the shoulder joint and quickly spreading into his arm, down his elbow and into his fingers. What is this? Hayashi stuttered as he tried to ignore the pain, but it was too much to simply discard. He couldn't comprehend what was happening. The foreign chakra that Hinata injected was overpowering his own. Hayashi looked at his hand and watched as his fingers started to become gray and unresponsive to his movements. Once the whole arm was gray, it simply dangled from his shoulder completely limp. Hayashi's arm had been completely petrified in just a few seconds. What did you do? Hayashi asked in desperation. I made sure you would never hurt anyone, either by using the caged bird seal or not. I turned your arm into stone. The process is irreversible and you will never use it again, Hinata explained without a shred of remorse. My father was right, she's a monster, Hayashi thought in fear as he stumbled to the ground. The Hyuga clan members were staring in shock and bewilderment at Hinata. She had just used the Juken-style taijutsu but made it far more deadly. With a single strike to his shoulder, Hinata had transformed Hayashi's arm into stone. You should consider yourself lucky. If I had chosen to hit your chakra core or heart, you would have been completely petrified, Hinata explained. How did she do it? Tsunade asked out loud and only Naruto chuckled. He had felt the energy when Hinata had used it. Hinata infused Senjutsu chakra into Hayashi with her Juken style. The Senjutsu chakra is too powerful and if not controlled that happens, Naruto said, pointing towards Hayashi's now limp arm. Since I won this match, I am now the clan head of the Hyuga clan, Hinata answered, and no one dared to defy her. Not after what they had just witnessed. Hinata had turned living flesh into stone. My first act as Hyuga clan head is to abolish the caged bird seal, Hinata said, and the main house erupted in protest while the branch house were all overjoyed. Enough, Hinata's voice echoed through the clearing with enough authority, silence everyone. Hinata-sama, please think of the ramifications, one of the elders pleaded to the new clan head. The plan to use Hanabi as a distraction and kill Hinata had backfired since they didn't expect her to be this strong. I already thought. The branch house were never your slaves, neither they shall remain to be. Naruto-kun, if you please, Hinata said, and Naruto nodded before making dozens of shadow clones. Each shadow clone took a branch member and in just a few minutes the caged bird seal was removed from everyone. I won't allow it, one of the elders said as he rose from his seat. I challenge you for the position of clan head, the elder said, and Hinata chuckled. I figured as much, but you will be unable to do so as in just a few minutes all of the elders along with my father will be placed in jail, Hinata said, chuckling, getting confused faces from everyone. How so? Niji asked, joining the discussion as reattached his headband to a now perfectly clean forehead. Because of me, a soft voice echoed through the clearing and everyone turned towards the newcomer. Hana Hayashi barely managed to get out as he and everyone else stared at the Hyuga standing in the entryway. Hello dear, Hana replied with a low and soft voice, betraying none of the anger she held for him. Surprised to see me? Hana asked, smiling. But you can't be alive, Hayashi said out loud, pretty much summing the thoughts of everyone else. We buried you, Hayashi said in shock, making Hana chuckle. I too thought to be dead, but imagine my surprise when I wake up in the hospital after being in coma for almost 14 years, Hana smoothly replied. Both Hana, Naruto, Hinata and Tsunade had agreed to a cover story to hide Naruto's powers. What about the body we buried? One of the elders asked, confused by this whole ordeal. A simple fake body, Hana replied and turned to glare at her husband. It looks like that poison you gave me didn't quite finish the job, Hana replied, and suddenly all eyes were on Hayashi waiting for an explanation. He didn't tell you, did he? Hana rhetorically asked. My wonderful husband here and our beloved elders fed me a special drug to try and abort Hanabi, Hana said, and heard gasps from everyone including Hanabi. He was displeased as to how Hinata didn't meet his expectations and wanted a male heir. So unknowingly to me, he and the elders gave me daily doses of the poison, but I didn't give up. I gave birth to Hanabi and fell into a deep coma, Hana explained. The Hokage at the time knew that something was wrong and simply faked my death, keeping me on life support until Hinata stumbled upon my room in the hospital and managed to awake me, Hana explained. Is this true, Hayashi? Tsunade asked, glaring at the former clan head. I do not know what she speaks about, Hayashi simply replied. Please, Hana snorted. One of the elders decided to gloat and explain everything to me moments before I supposedly died, Hana explained, pointing towards one of the elders, especially towards Hayashi's father. Well? Tsunade stated, trying to get answers from Hayashi or either of the elders. When Hana first told Tsunade of her cause of death, she couldn't believe it. Do it, Tsunade said to Naruto, and he nodded, making his Sharingan blaze to life. Several chains erupted from the ground behind one of the elders, pinning him to the ground on his knees. The elder struggled to get free as he watched Naruto calmly walk towards him. Naruto kneeled at the same level of the elder and locked eyes with him, Sharingan into Byakugan. Genjutsu Sharingan, Naruto whispered as his Sharingan started spinning and hypnotizing the Hyuga elder. In just a few seconds, the elder stopped struggling and was simply drawn into Naruto's blood-red eyes. The elder's eyes became almost hollow and Naruto knew that his genjutsu was in effect. Naruto got up and nodded for Tsunade to begin. Did you poison Hyuga, Hana? Tsunade asked towards the hypnotized elder. Yes, the elder replied in a monotone voice, shocking everybody around. And who else was involved in this plot? Tsunade asked, wanting to know every single accomplice. The elder was saying, but was cut off by another one of the elders, giving him a Juken strike to his chest. Really? Tsunade asked in disbelief. You didn't want to go to prison, so you killed him, which is punishable by prison, Tsunade said, and the elder blinked as he hadn't thought his actions through. He just wanted to shut up Hayashi's father. Looks like there is no honor among thieves, Hana said as Naruto trapped the killer of Hayashi's father and trapped him in a genjutsu. Naruto made sure to stay to his side to prevent anyone else from attacking him. Who else was involved in poisoning Hana? Tsunade asked. All 5 of the elders, Hyuga Hayashi and Hyuga Aya, the elder replied and blinked as Naruto terminated his genjutsu. Where is this Hyuga Aya? Tsunade asked, looking around. She's dead, Tsunade-sama, Ko replied as he stepped forward. Ko was one of the few of the main house that treated the branch house with respect. Now that I think about it, she died just a few weeks after Hana-sama, Ko explained. Of course she did, Hana sarcastically replied. No loose ends, right? Hana asked towards Hayashi, who seethed. Hayashi could do nothing as of right now. He had lost his clan, his power, his arm, and looked like he also lost his freedom. All I wanted was a strong heir. Nothing like Hinata turned out to be at the time, Hayashi angrily replied and turned towards Hana. She was like you, kind and soft. Such person was unworthy of leading our clan, Hayashi sneered. And look how good that turned out, Naruto pointed out towards his stone arm. It's all her fault. One of the remaining elders suddenly got up and ran as fast as he could towards Hinata, intent on finishing her off. Well, as fast as a 70-year-old male could. Hinata turned around and locked eyes with the incoming Hyuga elder. Senpu, Sage Arts, Hinata said as her face became filled with dark purple markings. The markings extended from her diamond-shaped figure on her forehead and went down to her eyebrows, skipping her eyes, down her cheeks and into her jaw. Her white eyes seemed to have an unusual silver glow to them. Sekonomi, petrifying eyes, 1, Hinata said as her eyes seemed to slightly give off a silver pulse. The incoming elder let out a gasp as his eyes turned completely gray and started branching out into the rest of his head. The elder stumbled as his head had already been completely petrified and stopped walking. He moved his right arm forward as if to reach to something and stopped moving, completely turned into stone. Holy, Naruto yelled when he felt the burst of Senjutsu chakra that left Hinata's eyes. By using the natural energy all around her, Hinata is able to infuse anyone with Senjutsu chakra, effectively turning them into stone and without them even realizing it. That is what I call a stare, man. I got my own Medusa, Naruto chuckled, giving Hinata thumbs up. Thank you, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, turning around, and all hell was unleashed. The branch house saw the elder being petrified by looking into Hinata's eyes, and when she turned around and looked towards them, every single member of the branch house stumbled as they quickly turned around to avoid looking into Hinata's eyes, and in the process they bumped into each other. While my sage mode is active, only the people I choose get petrified. You can still look at me, Hinata explained, and watched as the members slowly got up from the ground, and one after the other not being petrified they lost their fear. Hinata turned back to face the remaining elders and main house. She slowly walked towards the statue in the middle of the trainings grounds. Is it not strange that one should die not by hands of their enemies, but at the hands of their own blood? Hinata said sadly and walked towards her father. I was willing to forgive you for expelling me from the clan, but I couldn't after you almost killed my mother and sealed my little sister. You dug your own grave, Hayashi, Hinata said sadly and walked away. My work here is done, Hinata said and turned to her mother. Hana gave Hayashi a last look before turning and smiling to her daughter. Anbu, Tsunade called, and almost immediately 3 Umbu appeared in a poof of smoke in front of her. Take that scum to the prison, Tsunade said, pointing towards Hayashi and the 3 remaining elders. Hyuga, Hinata, Hana called out. I, Hyuga Hana, hereby challenge you for the position of clan head, Hana said, and everyone's jaw dropped. Everyone in the Hyuga clan thought those two were together in this. I accept, Hinata replied smiling. And I forfeit, Hinata said, and everyone face vaulted. As the new Hyuga clan head, my first decision is to banish Hyuga Hinata from the Hyuga clan permanently, Hana said, and everyone was surprised. What was going on? Hinata had joined the clan and now she was expelled again. Thank you, my Hina-chan, Hana said, hugging her daughter, leaning in to whisper. You found a very good man in Naruto. I hope you live a wonderful life, Hana whispered. Thank you, mother, Hinata said, breaking the hug. I'll come visit when I can, Hinata said, and Hana watched as her daughter left the compound with Naruto by her side, like he had always been. What are you all looking at? Hana rhetorically replied, making every Hyuga member flinch. Just joking. It's time for us to turn a new leaf in the Hyuga clan, Hana began. I know that most of the former branch house hold grudges against the main house, but I hope you can let go, and I say the same to the main house. I will not tolerate any fighting on the clan. Do I make myself clear? Hana said, glaring at everyone, and watched as everyone quickly nodded. Good. Let's return to our jobs, Hana said, and everyone walked away. The training ground could be fixed tomorrow and suitable place for the elder statue be found. A martyr never to be forgotten. Hashtag later that day, Hokage Monument ##. After that, commotion of the Hyuga clan had finally died down, the night quickly followed as well. Naruto was at the top of his father's head, calmly watching the starry sky. He looked down on the village and saw thousands of lights. From his position, Naruto could see the whole village. Here you are, Naruto heard and turned around to see Hinata approaching. It always surprises me how beautiful the village looks at night, Hinata replied, stopping next to Naruto. What did you call me for? Hinata asked. I just wanted to share this with my gorgeous girlfriend, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. Real smooth genius, Naruto cursed to himself and watched as Hinata simply laid her head on his shoulder. By the way, Hinata said, getting his attention. Earlier today you said something about you having your own Medusa, Hinata, and Naruto chuckled. It's a legend, but we have time, so Naruto said, before gathering his thoughts. According to the stories, long time ago lived a princess that ruled over a country that was just as big as the Fire Country. People of their country used to praise their princess for her beauty. According to the legends, this princess was so beautiful that she was compared to gods themselves, too. One of the gods saw this as an offense to themselves. They decided to punish this princess for so foolishly being compared to gods. They cast a terrible curse upon her so that anyone that gazed directly into her would be turned into stone for all eternity. That's why I said that when I saw you do the same thing today, and you certainly are beautiful enough, Naruto said, smiling. You are right about one thing, Hinata said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. I'm yours, Hinata said, kissing him on the lips. And you're mine, Hinata said lovingly. It's now or never, Naruto thought to himself, gulping and gathering his nerves. Naruto split away from Hinata and kneeled on one knee. Naruto's heart was racing as he channeled chakra into one of his storage seals, and a small square box popped out. Hinata gasped when she saw Naruto kneeling and a small box on his hand. Is he? No, don't faint now, Hinata thought to herself as she also tried to keep a heart rate in check. Naruto opened the small box and Hinata saw perhaps the most beautiful ring she had ever seen. You were always with me since the very beginning, Naruto began. You were the first person to show me kindness and love. You were my first friend, my girlfriend, and now my greatest love. You were there when I was feeling alone and lost, you were there when I was called a monster, and you were there when I was thrown from stores and feeling lonely. There is nothing I wouldn't do for you, so, Hinata, will you marry me? Naruto asked as he displayed his ring for her to see. You are such a knucklehead, Hinata replied lovingly and making Naruto hesitantly raise his head to look at her. Of course I do, Hinata lovingly replied, and Naruto immediately got a smile that threatened to split his face. He slowly took the ring from his box and tried to place it on her finger. Keyword being tried as he couldn't stop shaking. With a hand from Hinata he finally managed to do it. It's gorgeous, Hinata said raising her hand to the air and watched as the ring sparkled under the moon's light. The ring wasn't too big or had any fancy cut or design. It had the symbol for yin and yang with the yang symbol in light purple and the yin side in shining silver. I've never seen diamonds with such color, Hinata mused to herself as she leaned her head against Naruto's shoulder and both of them sat on the ground looking at the sky. That's because they don't exist, Naruto said, and Hinata wondered what he meant. I created these two stones from scratch with my Rinnegan. I wanted the ring to be the only one of a kind, and no matter what differences or challenges we may face we will always be together like yin and yang, Hinata finished for Naruto, who nodded. I love you, Naruto-kun, Hinata said and pulled Naruto into a deep romantic kiss. And I love you, Naruto said, breaking the kiss and bringing his forehead to hers. Senju Hinata. Name, Senpa Sekanomi, Sage Arts, Petrifying Eyes. Rank, S rank. Requirements, Senjutsu, Byakugan. Class, Offensive. Users, Hyuga Hinata. Hand seals. Description, in Sage mode, Hinata can feel her surroundings by using the natural energy around. With the help of the Byakugan, Hinata can guide her own Senjutsu chakra into the enemy's chakra network. Since almost no one can properly control Senjutsu chakra, the enemies gets turned into stone. This ability can only be performed in Sage mode, while her Juken style, by injecting Senjutsu, is limitless. Just picture Medusa looking at someone like from Clash of Titans, 2010, or Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, 2010. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips. If you liked the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll stay here until next time.